Alright, welcome back everyone. I've been recently rewatching JJK, and I got to the Sukuna versus Mahoraga fight. Credits to Anycrad. I don't know if you can see his name down here, but yeah, there he is for uploading this. Sweet. Um but what I wanted to talk about is, you know, when I'm watching the show and stuff, I'll look up like what's going on in the show and all that type of jazz and whatnot. But one thing I was looking up about Mahoraga is well, everything about it actually is I feel people are just getting him wrong. Like they don't understand what his powers and abilities are. Um, and there are a couple things I need to. Sorry about that. There are a couple things I want to go over with about that. So let's just actually start it. Like how his powers work and how to actually beat him, because I do feel like everyone's wrong about how to beat Mahoraga as well. I don't think they're getting that right. um I will say, uh flat plain out, yes, beating him with one big old Exodia Obliterate like Gojo does with the Hollow Purple, or Sukunu does with the Fuga, yeah, that'll take him out. Like, I totally get that. That can beat Mahoraga. um But let's just start with, let's see. I've got these marked down, so let's go to 312, because that is one of the important parts on this video. Alrighty, let's see here. Oh, that's loud. Right there, he cut his arm off, right? He just cut his arms off right there. Or his hand and his leg. Boom, boom. So those have been cut off. And that leads you to the first part, is Mahoraga has regeneration, right? He may or may not have regeneration, but it's not instant regeneration like that. It is slow as fuck regeneration. Like, he does not regenerate fast, because he's got those cuts. He's lost his hand, one of his arms, and one of his feet now. All the way up until, let's see, 339, give or take a minute or two. He's still got all these cuts, missing his foot, missing his hand. Yep, still gone, nothing. He has not regenerated this whole time during the fight. Let's head over to 415 now. What happens here? Well, right there, right then and there, he gets killed. Like, Mahoraga is dead right there, and that's actually part of the other thing. Let's go back a second. So this is the big cut on his head, where his head slides off. His head is slid off of him, and then he takes his hands and like puts it back on, right? You know, the classic anime trope or whatever. So based on that, I am gonna say that Mahoraga does not have regeneration. If it took him that long to regenerate just his arm and his foot, or his hand and his foot, but then he can put his head back on like that, that's not regeneration. That is Mahoraga dying and being revived. Yeah, it's him dying and being revived, and then his adaptation starts taking place. And that's the other thing. His ability to adapt to anything and everything. Yeah, he has that power. That's quite obvious. He's got that ability, but it's not fast. It's not instant. It takes a long time, like 5 minutes of straight hands to start adapting to something. And he has to keep adapting to it, you know. That's why throughout this entire fight, he's still getting cut by Sukuna every time he gets, you know, badly injured and slashed by him. He'll adapt, and the slashes start doing less damage. Yeah, let's see here. Let's go to the part 2 of this, right? And I've got some time in that one as well. That should be the 15-second mark. This is regeneration. Like, he's trying his darndest to get back up, and eventually he does, right? Boom, there goes the wheel. It clicks, ding, and he starts adapting. So let's go to 149. Only now, after all the smackdown that Sukuna has given him, and he's adapted like 2 or 3 times at this point, is when he can start seeing those attacks. So yeah, the basis of his abilities, his adaptation takes so long to do, and because of that, I don't think Mahoraga even has regeneration to begin with. Essentially, like, I think he has to adapt regeneration into his techniques because he's getting his ass whooped. Um, I think if a regular person, cut his arm off and he wasn't having trouble beating the shit out of him, I don't think his arm would grow back until he kills him and the ritual's over and he gets summoned again. I also think he starts net zero every time he gets summoned. Net zero Mahoraga, no skills, no nothing, and he just has to learn what to do on the fly. Let's head over to 158. That was another one. Let's see. What is this? Oh yeah, this is him getting absolutely eviscerated. You see that? Just a torso, arms gone, nothing's left of him. You cannot tell me that he can regenerate that was not a lethal blow. Mahoraga dies and gets revived and adapts to what killed him. That is the basis of his power. It is not he can stand there and you can throw a punch at him, and after the first singular punch, he's immune to all punches whatsoever. Like, fists don't even exist in his universe anymore. It's not like that. Sorry. Let's see, what else did I have? 322, 322, 322. Let's go to 322. Yeah, because after all this smackdown and all that adaptation, Hayes, watch this. That is not regeneration. That is him taking a lethal wound and lethal wounds and just boom, dying and reviving. Like, that is instantaneous wound erasure. That is not regeneration. So yeah, now that I've got my gripes about that Mahoraga, if he does have regeneration, it's slow, it's average regeneration. Not like someone like freaking Kid Buu from Dragon Ball Z, where you can cut his head off and another one appears by the time you blink. And his he either doesn't start with it, or he has to adapt it to become a lot faster if he does start with it. If you're saying he's got damn near instant regeneration, I don't believe that that's regeneration. I believe that that is him taking a lethal injury, dying, and being revived. And my basis for that is the way the 10 Shadows technique itself works. You have 10 Shikigami, or 9, not including Mahoraga. So it stands to reason that to subjugate Mahoraga and make him your 10th Shinigami, you need to beat him either in one shot that proves you are simply superior to him and there's absolutely nothing he could do to actually get around that. Like, if you're that much stronger than him at any given point in time, it's like, well, yeah, you can subjugate him. So, Gojo's Purple, Sukuna's Fuga, those can obliterate him in one hit, and it's like, okay, yeah, you can tame him, even though they're not part of the ritual, so they can't, but you get what I'm saying. If a 10 Shadows user had, like, that much firepower, and they summoned him and just blasted him, yeah, you've tamed Mahoraga, no problem. But with the way the technique works is you start with the dogs, and from what I've seen, you have to go and subjugate each Shikigami after that. Well, that means you have to beat the shit out of them. And, you beat the shit out of the second one with the dogs, and now you've got the dogs and whoever the second one is. And then so on and so forth until you get to Mahoraga. And then at that point, it's like, well, this is the ultimate test of a 10 Shadows user. How Like, how good are they really? Let's put them up against something that can adapt to whatever they can throw out. Like, how good are you as a 10 Shadows user is basically the Mahoraga test. So it stands to reason, to me at least, that you'd have to kill Mahoraga 9 or 10 times, considering you yourself are a combatant as a 10 Shadows user. So it's like, if you can beat him with technically each Shinigami, or just beat him 9 or 10 different ways, it's like, well, you've kind of proven that you can go ban for ban and slap the shit out of him, and then you can subjugate him. Like, that's a very reasonable expectation of that power. If you have to beat each one to tame them, and the final one can adapt to anything, well, you've got 9 or 10 different ways to kill him, essentially. It just, like, it makes perfect sense in my mind. And then let's talk about other ways you can beat him. So, obviously, like I've said, the Hollow Purple and Fuga can just obliterate him. I think if you gave a 10 Shadows user the Soul Split Katana, you could probably beat Mahoraga. I mean, if you got, like, right at the beginning of the fight, if you slash him a couple times with that, I think that's just enough damage to his soul that it'd be like, okay, you've beat him. You've actually damn near obliterated him to the point where he doesn't get the revives. You're clearly stronger than him. But eventually, yeah, he would be able to adapt to that if that wasn't the case, because he can adapt to anything except the Inverted Spear of Heaven and Angel's Jacob's Ladder. I think those two cannot subjugate him, but they can just poof him out of existence. Like, he's done, he's not there, he's gone. And the reason I say that, a little sniffly, but the reason I say that is because Mahoraga is a Shikigami, yes, but he's summoned through a curse technique. So if you had, let's say, the Inverted Spear of Heaven and you hit him, I don't think it just poofs him out. I think it'd really cause some damage to him, and it might take away his adaptation, because that's his ability. His curse technique is adaptation, so you could get around that. But I think if you went and, like, slashed the 10 Shadows user, if they're performing this ritual, or if they've summoned him in general, like, let's say hypothetically they've tamed him and they summon him, I think if you went and hit them with the Inverted Spear of Heaven, like a little cut, it would shatter it, and Mahoraga would just poof out of existence, because you've destroyed the technique that summoned him. And then the same thing with Jacob's Ladder. It does the exact same thing. It destroys the technique that is used. So it would just, like, poof him out of there. Let's see what else. Oh, how to beat him if you're actually a 10 Shadows user. That's right. First of all, the bull. The bull could one-shot Mahoraga like he was an infant. And yeah, thermonuclear bomb versus baby. Who wins? But the reason I say that is because the bull's power is, the longer it runs, the stronger it gets. I don't know if that's linearly or exponentially or anything like that. I don't know how it works, but given enough time, if you, let's say you're in, like, one side of America, like on California or some shit, and you summon Mahoraga over on the East Coast. I don't know any East Coast states. Philadelphia, let's say, I don't fucking know. And there's just, like, you set it up so there's a straight line, like 2 concrete slabs all the way across the country. And you summon the bull, and you fly to another area, and you control him, and he starts running, and who knows how long that's gonna take. That driving straight through with no stops, I think, takes like 4 days, 4 or 5 days. So let's just say the bull can run that distance in 2 days, because it's exponential. speed or something. Um, so you summon him, you fly over there. That's only going to take you a couple hours. And you time it so that the ritual starts right when the bull will get there. So right around the let's pause it right there. Right around that part actually, where you summon him and he's out of the wrappings, and boom, like that's when the bull lines up and actually hits him. Absolutely obliterated. I mean, just true thermonuclear bomb versus a baby type shit. And I don't think that would count as like one of the 9 or 10 lives. Maybe it would, because it is a Shikigami that does beat him, but like the power difference at that point, I mean, is astronomical. The brown deer, let's say if you were a heavenly restricted user and you had the brown deer constantly healing you, and you had the soul split katana and like just 9 other cursed weapons, you could just destroy Mahoraga. I mean, just bam, bam, bam. I don't think Mahoraga can throw hands with a heavenly restricted user like Toji or I blanked on her name. Maki, like Toji or Maki. In the beginning, nah, they're wiping the floor with Mahoraga. I mean, just janitor levels, gone. Eventually, yeah, because you can like throw hands with him so long before he becomes the best hand-to-hand fighter ever. But I'd say for probably like a good 20 minutes, they could just like tear his arms off like they're made out of paper, glass bones, and paper skin. Just rinsing him. um, but yeah, that's about it. I I don't think Mahoraga has regeneration. If he does, it's slow, just like his adaptation. If it becomes faster, it's because he's adapted it to be faster. He starts out 0 every time he's summoned, even if you've tamed him. Uh, like the Sukuna versus Gojo fight, where Sukuna's a cheating little bastard and uses Mahoraga. If he did that fight, let's say Gojo survived, and he did that fight again and summoned Mahoraga, back at square zero. He wouldn't know how to cut through Gojo's infinity yet. Um, Shit like that. But yeah, starts at 0 every time. Slow or non-existent regeneration that has to be adapted to make better. Um, you either have to completely obliterate him in one shot or kill him 9 or 10 times for each Shikigami and the user during the subjugation ritual. And as long as they're all separate times, you've got it, you've beat him, and you've subjugated him. So, yeah, we'll go with that. My yap session's over, and you have a good one.